And welcome to JFP Sports, where fantasy and sports talk lives. Well, folks, it was a great night in the Bronx. Ricky and Puma here to discuss what a playoff wild card it was. Were you watching? I hope you were, Rick.
Yeah, no, of course I was. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are a little slow without football, so we were definitely watching. Yeah. I think it's time for you to admit that Aaron Boone is a good manager because last night he pulled all the right strings. Do you agree? For the first time, he's on my side. I had him, but with Severino, McCutcheon we talked about, he was leading off. Sanchez was hitting 8th, and then he got replaced by Romine. And Duhar actually got replaced too. I think Aaron Boone made the right moves.
Yes, he had the Midas touch last night, and I'm not ready to jump on the Boone bandwagon just yet. I need to see more. I need to see more playoff games. With that will come experience. I was a little hesitant with Dellin Betances going 2 innings, even
in the 5th. Came in early.
Even being brought in with runners on the pillows there, I felt really nervous. Especially you have a guy with that kind of stuff. You got Sanchez behind the plate. Like I said, guys on base. Anything could happen. Just a 2-run lead at that point. Nerve-wracking.
I think that was the game. When he brought him in the 5th and 6th.
Absolutely.
You had the feeling that was pretty much it. And then the Yankees tacked 4 on. It was 6-0, and that was pretty much it.
When these analytical guys talk about high leverage situation, that was a high leverage situation. 5th and 6th innings. I mean, Dellin did a wonderful job. When I see him at the GSP Mall, I will definitely be giving him a high five. He's always hanging out there. But definitely a great night for the Yanks. Topped the Oakland A 7-2. And now it's time to look forward. We talk about all these managerial moves, how we got here. But it's time to look forward, and it's time for a showdown in Beantown. How do you feel about that?
It's kind of funny because
Hap actually named, I'm sorry to cut you off, named the official starter for game
lefty,
one.
Lefty, it'll be Sale, Hap, as we kind of expected, especially Sale going for the Red Sox. This is interesting because when have we ever said a Yankee 100-win team is playing with house money? And they are against Boston. If the Yankees lose, it's best out of 5. If the Yankees lose, I think getting swept would be pretty poor. But 3-1, it's not that off kilter where we might be saying, this Red Sox team, won 108 games? I mean, the Yankees with 100 wins are playing with house money just because the way the Red Sox played.
Well, this season. To your point, you were chasing a historic season by Boston, which they had, and they won the division by 8 games. I see that. Winning 100 games is always special. I feel like these are the best 2 teams in MLB.
I was just about to say, I would take, including Oakland and Cleveland, you might have, maybe not Oakland the way they played last night. They don't have the starting pitching. Between the Yankees, the Astros, the Red Sox, and the Indians, I think you might have the 4 best teams in baseball.
Absolutely.
And maybe you throw in the Dodgers
maybe Atlanta in the mix.
But Atlanta's young.
Right.
We've seen what Kershaw, he struggled. And then we look at Milwaukee. I think they're starting Woodruff tonight. I mean, they don't have anything. Atlanta, we said, is young. Colorado just won a big game, and now they're throwing Santella. They're not, because they have to win 2 games. That's the thing. Now they have to start Freeland, and they have to start, I can't remember his name. Who started for the Rockies when they played Colorado, when they played the Dodgers? Their other big guy. Oh, Herman Marquez.
Marquez, yes.
Right, so you're starting with Santella
and then Marquez.
against the Brew Crew indoors at their place. Not a lot of fun, so I just think, it's unfortunate for the Yankees, but they're a wild card team, and they won 100 games.
In the NL, for me, I feel like it's brewing as a NLCS of LA and Milwaukee. That's just me. I think you would probably jump on there as well.
Yeah,
too.
I think
the inexperience of Atlanta.
Well, the inexperience of Atlanta, I think Atlanta's the 3rd best team in the National League, but I think the Brewers have enough offense
to overtake Colorado.
Right. I think you're going to see a lot of high scores. I think you're going to. Well, the only thing I worry about with overs, and it hit last night actually 7-2, a meaningless home run, but the Brewers bullpen, if they can get to Knebel, Hader, and Jeffries in the 6th inning, Colorado will struggle. Yeah. And actually, the Rockies bullpen looked really good against the Cubs too.
You could make a great case that
who knows?
The Brewers have the best bullpen in the National League right now.
I think overall, I'd still throw the Yankees.
No, I meant National League.
Oh, in the National League, absolutely.
I would say
with those
Yankees,
three.
and then you have.
I would throw the Brewers at number 2.
I would have to say Milwaukee, and then 3 probably. Whatchamacallit, Boston, just because of Kimbrel.
Right, well,
and then Kenley Jansen.
Because Kimbrel realistically can go between 4 and 6 outs every night, especially with an off day. But I look at the Brewers, if they get to the 6th inning, Hader can go 3 innings, we've seen, with rest. And there's more rest now, which means the bigger guys, I know the Brewers starting rotation's not great, but if they can just get 4, maybe 5 guys, and then 4 or 5 innings, I should say, and who knows from there. But no, I'm looking forward to it. Yankees, Red Sox, it's best out of 5. No, exactly. And I kind of just feel, I want to say real quick, I feel bad for the A's. You play 162 games, you win 97 games. Astros obviously no scrub, so they came second to a good team. They come all the way out to the East Coast. They were overmatched last night, and they've got nothing to show for it. So
to our point, we had both said this is why you had to win those games down the stretch before the Boston series, because you needed home field advantage, and you saw what that place looked like last night. It looked like a zoo in the Bronx. I had seen some videos on Twitter, actually, people, Yankee fans throwing beer on Oakland A.
I know
that's despicable.
No,
but,
that is.
But as a whole, it's just the intimidation factor coming into the jungle, so to speak. I think the Yankees ran with it, and they just got to keep this momentum going. So as an NL take, you like Milwaukee and LA, I assume, like I do.
Right, and I said from day one,
when we first started, you loved LA.
I loved LA. I said they're
without Machado. You are
right. This was without Machado. I didn't see the Max Muncy thing come along. Cody Bellinger struggled, but we've talked about matchups. You could throw Kike Hernandez in there and David Freese and not play your lefties versus a lefty if they're facing a Josh Hader. You could pin. They have so much depth, and they have so many options that. I think they'll just win. It's unfortunate that the Braves are just so young and so early. Other than Freddie Freeman and Nick Markakis, Fulton Nevich is unproven, in this situation. Anibal Sanchez, I'm not that comfortable with in the playoffs. So it's just, we know it's an AL dominant league. I would put any AL team standing over any
NL team.
Right. Maybe the Indians, Dodgers would be the closest, but if I'm an AL fan, I'd be very confident having the Indians with a guy like, with a Kluber, Carrasco, and those guys throwing, the Clevenger, whoever they want to throw, Cody Allen in the back. So it's
yes.
AL heavy.
Yes. So looking forward to the Boston series. What's your take? Yanks winning it? How do you see this? I mean, we'll revisit this next week, and we'll see where we're at. But just your prediction going into the series. Tomorrow night.
As a Red Sox hater, I will take the Red Sox in 5.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not very confident. I'm very confident in the 5 part. This series deserves to go 5. As a baseball fan, I want to see it go 5. I just see the Red Sox. When you look at the Yankees, you see a lot of swings and misses. Even last night, there were home runs, and Aaron Judge had that chopped double, and then Luke Voit hit the triple that was almost a home run. I don't see very many swings and misses from the Red Sox, so I think they're going to get J.A. Happ. I know he's pitched in the postseason, but not since his days in Philly. The one question mark I have is Sale and Price. I don't have any question marks about the offense. They've 1 through 9. They're balanced, so I would take the Red Sox in 5. I just want to see it go 5.
I'm going to go Yankees in 5.
But it's 5 to me.
Yeah, it's 5
right.
to us. We like we said in the beginning of the show, these are the 2 best teams in the league. And
I would actually say the Astros are 2. I'd say Red Sox, Astros.
Okay, but they're a top 3,
correct,
right? Baseball team, and I believe these 2 juggernauts go 5. And it becomes a game of arms, who's coming in, when. And I believe the Yankees just outarm the Red Sox. And, we got to worry about Sale, but you need 4 other guys to pitch. And, Price is like the nowadays.
He hasn't won a playoff game.
Right. He's like a Pedro Martinez where the Yankees call you daddy. So, to me, I feel like the Yankees own David Price and their bullpen other than Kimbrel. So, we'll see. But I say Yankees in 5. Rick says Boston in 5. Moving on to some NFL fantasy. All right, Rick. One player you must start and why this year? What's your must-start player for guys looking for lineup changes? The bye started last week. Must start.
I'm going with Nyheim Hines, and the reason I'm doing that is none of those Colt backs. He's a Colt running back. Let me put that out there first. They had guys like Jordan Wilkins, Marlon Mack was supposed to be in the mix, and this kid Nyheim Hines out of NC State. None of those guys. Everyone expected someone to pick it up running, and that hasn't happened. So what do? You go with the scat back, and especially tonight, they're going to be playing the Patriots. The New England will score their points for sure. I'm looking at it like Andrew Luck is going to dump it. T.Y. Hilton's, I think, going to be out. Jack Doyle's pretty much already ruled out. So you're already down 2 pass catchers in a game where you're going to have to throw the ball. It sets up as a recipe to dink and dunk Nyheim Hines, especially if you're in a PPR league. If you're not in a PPR league, this is a different conversation. But I'm going to go Nyheim Hines. I think he gets some extra touches that are probably meaningless in the actual game, but relevant for fantasy.
Okay, I'm going to stick with the running back theme. I'm actually going to take James White. And just for the mere...
Same game.
Yeah, same game. I believe, you got Rex Burkhead on the shelf now, so it's basically...
For a while. He'll be out for a while.
So you basically have a James White, Sony Michel show. And I believe when they're down at the goal line, Brady likes throwing to his fellow Michigan product. Mm-hmm. And I believe the Colts can't stop a nosebleed. They can't stop Dean Annis with his Rays jersey on. So... I believe James White is going to have a hell of a night, and especially in those PPR leagues, like Ricky mentioned,
even if you're half-point PPR.
Right, just those dump-offs to get the yak. I believe James White and Nyheim Hines could get you the yards after the catch.
So with 2 similar picks. We didn't think it would be the same game, but 2 of the same scat-back players for teams who would like to throw.
Right, and definitely I think it'll be a high-scoring game tonight. Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on. We've got 2 players, our Pump the Brakes series. 2 players you'd pump the brakes on, Rick.
I'll give you one. Let's go alternate.
We'll alternate. Rick, you go first.
I have 2 picks. One is going to be very surprising, but the first pick I'll give is Andy Dalton. He's been playing very, very, very well. And
it's a good pick.
It's just every time the Bengals start to have things go well,
things go wrong.
Right. It's unbelievable to me how this team can't handle success. They're very similar to the Miami Dolphins, as a matter of fact. I'm not saying they're not talented, but
very talented, actually. One of the top 5, if not top 6 rosters.
In terms of especially offensive talent, the best in the AFC North right now. No Le'Veon Bell.
Poor Atlanta Falcon.
And it's ironic they played the same last week. And, of course, the Falcons gave up the touchdown to A.J. Green at the end, but it easily could have been the Bengals giving up one to Julio or someone else. So I would say pump the brakes on Andy Dalton, especially as a fantasy player. They're getting Joe Mixon back this week, so they'll probably be a little bit more balanced. Andy Dalton is having a good year, but I would just, if you're looking to pick him up, you might do it, but just stash him for now. And don't play him right away unless you have like a Bortles. Unless you're in like a 2-quarterback league. Most leagues are 1 quarterback, so you shouldn't be facing an issue like that, even with a bye situation. But just hold off on him. Again, they'll start to, I think with Lev Bell coming back, I think those games with the Steelers will be more competitive. The Browns have a better defense. So we know with the Ravens, you're going to have to go to Baltimore towards the end of the season. So we'll see.
And to your point, Miami does have a sneaky good defense. Some pass rushers on that defense. Mm-hmm. And Dalton is prone to the turnover.
Right. And that's the thing. Sometimes it's not even about the numbers he can put up, but it's kind of like that's why the Mahomes has been so great this year. He hasn't turned the ball over. If he had the Darnold interceptions, we might be having a different conversation. Again, Andy Dalton's winning games, and that's what's important for real football. But we're talking fantasy purposes. Just as we say, pump the brakes.
Well, since Ricky brought up a quarterback, I'm going to bring up another fellow quarterback, actually in the same division. And I don't know if Ricky will take this too kind, but Mr. Joe Flacco, I think you guys should pump the brakes on. He had a great Sunday night game in Heinz Field. I know Ricky was probably so excited. They went in.
That was a one-way game. That was a one-way game. The Steelers had no chance.
The terrible towel area, and they beat him up. They beat him up good. And
they should use those terrible towels. To wipe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel that Joe Flacco, he has that dime ball. Like he could just let it float, and it's coming out of the heavens.
He might have the best deep ball in the league.
Absolutely.
And that's always been said about him.
But the thing about Joe Flacco, the thing about Andy Dalton, these guys could look so good one week and the other week Jekyll and Hyde. I know he's playing the Cleveland Browns this week, and historically, Joe Flacco has owned them. I mean, I've seen, I remember highlights and videos of him going deep to Mike Wallace many a times against the Cleveland Browns.
He's done it in the past to Jacoby Jones. He's done it in the past to, I told Puma, I've told everybody, get John Brown.
Absolutely.
Even if you're not going to play him, you're better off keeping him away from
somebody else. It's another blue chip. But yes, I believe, but this is not your older brother's Cleveland Browns.
No.
So they could play a little D, and they forced the most turnovers in the league. So just pump the brakes on Joe Flacco a little bit. Rick, to your next pump the brakes.
No, I'm gonna take a guy that I've been so high on all year. I'm gonna go Calvin Ridley. Pump the brakes.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And the reason I'm saying that is I think he only has 9 catches this year, I believe, and he's got 3 touchdowns. Folks, he's not keeping that. I mean, the guy's not. He's not going to end up with like 36 catches and 10, 12 touchdowns.
He's doing a Juju comparison.
That's not realistic. Yeah. It's just not real. I'm not saying he's not good, but there's just so many weapons. We always know Julio's going to be the number 1 guy. Julio Jones is, I think, 3rd in fantasy points in ESPN PPR, and he doesn't have a touchdown.
Yeah, like it's very, very odd.
Right, and it's like
play
he
calling.
is right. It's not even that. He's just everyone's doubling him in the red zone. So Julio is so good from the 20s that it's kind of like we can get someone else involved.
Yeah.
And so I just think Calvin Ridley, that will slow down eventually. I'm not saying he's not good. You shouldn't. If you have him, you might want to still play him. I'm just saying, folks, don't expect touchdowns every single week. Good to have. Again, another guy, like I said, John Brown, even if you are stacked, like I have a Stephon Diggs, A.J. Green, and Julio Jones, it's loaded. If I had a Calvin Ridley, I wouldn't even be playing him. At least you're keeping him away from someone else's roster.
Absolutely. That's the name of the game, strategy. A pump the brakes candidate for me, Phillip Lindsay, Denver Broncos running back. I mean, listen, he's getting 12 attempts a game. All right. I mean, he's still in a timeshare at Royce Freeman. In the end, you have to think to yourself, okay, the opportunity is always going to go to the higher pick. Phillip Lindsay was undrafted.
He had 32 teams to sign for him, and he picked Denver.
Right. And Denver, to be honest, passed over him.
No, yeah, they didn't draft
like everybody else. So in the end, it's going to be Royce Freeman's backfield to lose. Now, will they put in Phillip Lindsay in certain packages? Absolutely. But to rely on that week in, week out, this is more of a bye week filler. And once you get through those bye weeks, I would say stash. If you could trade him on his high, I would trade him right now. But pump the brakes on Phillip.
No, yeah. Again, everyone looked great against that Kansas City defense, but Royce Freeman still had I think he had like 9 carries for 60-something yards and a touchdown.
That's the Kansas City Chiefs.
They want the Oregon Duck to get the ball. And it's not to say Phillip Lindsay's bad. It's just he's more of a third down scat bag type of guy. And, the Broncos really should have won. They had Demaryius Thomas if Case Keenum.
Phillip Lindsay, to me, is the equivalent of a
Buck Allen.
A little bit better Danny Woodhead.
He's a more in between the tackles runner. Not that Woodhead couldn't run, but
that's why I say a little bit better.
I think I think my comparison to Buck Allen is more about like they'll give the Ravens actually haven't been running the ball all that well with Alex Collins, but they'll give Buck Allen a few carries but they really want to try to get him as a scat back.
Yeah. And
that's I think what the Broncos want to do with Phillip Lindsay.
Okay, so to some more fantasy segments. Last straw, okay? The one player you are giving 1 week or else, meaning cut or trade. I'm going to start with mine, and then we'll follow up with Ricky. For me, it's very simple, and he's in this game tonight. It's Chris Hogan. I mean, you have Gronk.
What a disappointment he's been.
You have Josh Gordon coming. You have Edelman coming off of his suspension tonight. You have James White, like I mentioned, Sony Michel. There's so many options in that offense.
Even Philip
Dorsett, who is playing his old team. Look out for him.
Right. That always happens. The teams that play their old teams, for whatever reason, they always seem to do okay.
So Chris Hogan, he's on his last straw. If he does not get you 15 or more tonight, go home.
I hate to say, unless you're in a 4-team-man league, he really shouldn't be starting. No. Like we could
even benched, because to be honest, it's taking up roster of your roster construction space.
He's one of those guys that if you drop him, you could always pick him back up. There's some guys that we look at, we're like, we don't want to drop him because we might not get him back. Mm-hmm. He's certainly one of those guys.
Well, in the fantasy community, I would say if you're looking for a wideout, especially in PPR leagues, they're easier to find.
Absolutely.
Running backs are, they're a dinosaur.
Tough. Yeah, they're tough. They're tough. That's why we always say go get your running backs first. Mine is a running back. This guy was supposed to be he is pretty talented, I think. He's just not cutting it. Kenyon Drake. Look, Kenyon Drake.
And high pick, too.
No, high pick. I took him.
People were taking first round.
No, I got Kareem Hunt, and then I got Mark Ingram. And then the next round, I got Kenyon Drake. And I'm like, you know what? He's the more talented back. And I always saw the Dolphins as a team against the Bills and the Jets. They were going to have 4 decent matchups. And the Patriots aren't your Patriots defense anymore. So I figured he'd get 6 games against teams that, he could do something with. And this guy has just struggled. I know Frank Gore is a little bit more motivated to be back in Miami. That's where he went to school. But it's funny, we talk about this, Kenyon Drake. Frank Gore seems to get 4 or 5 yards every time. They could have an 11-man box, and he still picks up 4 or 5. Right. But Kenyon Drake, he's not even – I haven't played him yet, luckily. But at the same time, like, dude –
They're giving old man Gore the Florida treatment.
It's literally like I've seen more 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end sets, or 4 wide receiver and a tight end sets, or even 5 wide with Ryan Tannehill more than he should get because they don't have any production. So look, Kenyon Drake, if you own him, if you're thinking about him, definitely pump your brakes if you're thinking about him. If you own him, don't start him. Give him 1 more week because he's too talented to not be rostered. But at the same time, there's no production. There's really no production. He's one of those. He's not going to get the carries, but you expect him to catch a few passes out of the backfield, and that's not happening either. So, along with Chris Hogan, 1 more week.
Yes, absolutely, and then he'll be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on to some real NFL. All right, we got Jets and Giants preview. The Jets, they are home with the Denver Broncos at 1:00. They are coming east. And the Giants are at 1:00 as well, which is very odd. Playing
that usually doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, but hey, the schedule makers
Before we get to
anymore.
the Jets preview, which we'll do first, will you admit that you were already wrong on your 8-8 prediction? Because I said 5-11, 6-10
for the Jets.
Yeah.
No, because we haven't lost 8 games yet.
I mean,
hey, listen.
This team is worse than you anticipated.
They're on a tailspin right now, and I had said to one of the Jets fans I seen in the hallway today, I said, is it so much that the Jets were so good in that Monday night game, or is it so that Detroit is inept that you don't know which Detroit Lions team you're going to see, the one that dominated New England or the one that got dominated by the Jets?
They blew up. They literally deconstructed in that game. I've never seen anything like it. And that's why we were questioning Patricia after week 1.
Right.
We didn't even say Sam Darnold was that great. It was Andre Roberts returning. Stafford, there could have been 11 wide receivers out there. Stafford couldn't have found one.
Too good to be true for a Jet fan.
No, yeah, right. Everyone was booking their trip to the Super Bowl.
Atlanta.
Right, and all of a sudden, this guy can't even. The fact they scored 12 points against the Jaguars is a miracle to me. They still lost by 20, but it was a miracle.
Go home and get your shine box.
And that was another. I gave you the Jaguars minus whatever it was. Yeah. That was it. Who was your pick last week anyway?
Oh, the Jets to go plus 7.5.
Oh, so we took the same game, but I took the Jags. I took the Jags. Oh, that was the bet of the week. I took the Jags.
Oh no! I had taken oh my God, Cleveland. Remember, I was saying Cleveland minus.
You just got burned on.
I know, I just got burned.
Well, that was a good pick, though.
It was.
They were up 28-14 and another team.
I blame baby Huey Jackson.
I was going to say, I think Baker played well, but let's get to the Jets preview. I don't want to harp on it so much.
You got Denver coming in. Right now, the Jets actually were favored by -1.
I think,
which is weird. But I kind of get it because Denver is just coming off a Monday night loss to Patrick Mahomes, who is unbelievable. Coming east, different time zone. I could see the Jets pull one out 24-17. You know what? I know they have those big bookends, Bradley Chubb, Von Miller. This is going to be another great test for Darnold, obviously tough defense. But I believe it starts up with the fatties up front, the trenches. You got to get a running game going. You got to get Bilal Powell going.
I've asked myself this question, every time we kind of talk about the Jets. I always say, what can I find in the Jets to get a win? And we try to come up with these weird things, and maybe
couple of onside kicks.
Right, yeah, right. Like, we don't know. We just make things up. Like, the Giants, we kind of have an idea of what they can do. The Jets, I'm just so not sure. Like, the Giants are 1-3.
Anyway.
The Giants are 1-3, and so are the Jets. But I feel so much more confident about the Giants than I do about the Jets. Luckily for the Broncos, I don't plan on seeing Sam Darnold throw any passes lefty this week. So I actually think I like the Broncos. Let's be honest, the Broncos have the better roster. It's not right even now, close. But this is one of those games for the Jets. Like, we talked about, the NFL is weird. This is one of those games that, like, Vegas might be seeing it right. I'm kind of on the side of the Jets. I hate to say it. But obviously, can I see Denver come here and say this team is disgusting? I don't like the Jets, but I understand why I would take Denver. I'm going to say 17-16.
I feel like this is like last year's game with Kansas City, when Kansas City came to MetLife and the Jets beat them. Yeah, you had Alex Smith make a couple of throws.
When the roster was so much better for the Chiefs.
Right, make a couple of throws. But it's just one of those weird feeling games that I feel like the Jets are going to come on top for some darn reason. Call me crazy, which everyone does.
I'm also not sold on Vance Joseph completely. I mean, luckily, again, they're not facing the lefty. Shouldn't say lefty. The special. I mean, well, it's kind of crazy. No one goes to Denver and is down 10 in the fourth and wins, and the kid did it. Darnold's not the kid right now. Mahomes, maybe but I think it's going to be a good competitive game. I think it's going to be low scoring. Darnold will continue. I'd say Darnold has another pick or two. He didn't have one against Jacksonville, I don't think.
I say a bigger day for the Jets defense. I say
both defenses. I kind of like.
I would like, because I could see some holes in the Denver Bronco O-line. Garrett Bowles getting beat a lot.
Kareem Hunt had a really good, one of his best game of the season against them.
No, offensive line.
Offensive.
On the other side of the ball. So
I think the Jets can get to them too.
A big game for Leonard Williams coming off this end.
So that was the Jets 1-3 preview. Let's go to the Giants 1-3 preview. The Giants need another game this week. I mean, we've said this.
Panthers.
Mr.
Cam Newton.
I've said this about the Giants. Like, they're none of these games they're really out of. If we look at the Giants, they had that Dallas game that they were in against Jacksonville. I don't really think they were in. They had the Dallas game they were in. They beat the Texans. And you know what? The Saints scored a late touchdown. I thought the Giants were kind of in that game too. But now they go to Carolina. Look.
Who's stopping Cam Newton?
And that's really where the issue lies.
Christian McCaffrey coming out in the backfield.
They're 6-point favorites.
Bunches down the.
And they're coming off a bye. They've had extra time to prepare. It doesn't look all that
Carolina
good.
dominates.
Yeah, and we'll talk. I actually will talk about the Panthers a little bit later in this show. But no, I actually think this is a big game for Odell.
Yeah,
I think.
Which I don't think it is, but I don't think it will.
No, I don't think it'll change the game, but I actually think Odell will actually get back to, because Odell really burned Jalen Ramsey when they were talking, like that was the week one storyline, and he had 11 catches on him. Now, granted, some of them were reverse zone, and Jalen Ramsey dropped off. He went underneath, but this is put up or shut up, I think, for the Giants at this point. They've really got to get it done.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I just don't think they'll have an answer for Mr. Cam Newton, which is the truth.
Not many teams do.
Yeah, so I say Carolina 36-16.
Yeah, I don't think they'll put up 36, but I'd say it's more of the lines of 27-17. I don't think
I see Kuechly having a big game.
Yeah, no, the Giants. Line? Yeah, no, they were supposed to get better.
3 sacks and a pick six.
I think Brady really. I'm starting to believe Brady made Nate Solder, and the kid Will Hernandez just looks a little overmatched.
My defensive pick of the week for fantasy.
Oh, the Panthers?
Panthers.
No, I think they'll get after him too. I actually am starting the Titans versus the Bills at home.
Not bad.
No, it's not bad. The Titans have actually done very well on the road.
Yeah, which is very odd.
Right, and they haven't done so great at home.
When they went into Jacksonville.
Right, they went that 9-6 game. But let's get to our game of the week betting wise. I'll start first, and it's that Panther game we actually talked about. Yeah. I had them at -7 when we did the studio. They're already down to -6.
Yeah. Fluctuating a little bit.
No, but if someone wants to continue it, if we want to go 5.5, I'll continue to wait. And that's kind of the thing with betting. See, if it goes from like 7 to 7.5, that's huge. But I think I love the Panthers this week.
How could I blame you? The Panthers are home. They have the
I'm surprised it's you're not. wager of the week. It's not your wager of the week.
They have the stouter defense, and I believe, they have the better quarterback.
The only thing they don't have, I think the running games are about even because Saquon's a better runner than McCaffrey, but he's, I think, Olsen still won't play. So I think the skill group might be slightly better, but that's like 4 or 5 guys. The other 48 guys are all better on Carolina.
Yeah. And with that, my game is Houston, -3.5, the Sunday night game against Dallas. I believe Dallas coming into Houston, okay, let's make no bones about it. We're still in Texas. But at the same time, when we get down to the nitty-gritty, all right, that was the Lions last week, all right, Cowboy Nation.
And they struggled against them.
This is Houston. You got J.J. Watt coming off the end.
5 sacks.
Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, I can't see Prescott having any success. And, yes, you could say they have Ezekiel Elliott. But Ezekiel Elliott, yes, now he could catch the ball, but he can't throw it to himself either. So, and he can't block for himself either.
He's got to kick, he's got to punt, he's got to play defense.
Holy moly, why don't we just put him on special teams and kick return? It's just, I feel that Houston's roster is just too fully talented. You got Deshaun Watson on the other side of the ball. I'm not even sure if Sean Lee is even better again. Van Der Esch hasn't really impressed me. He's got a lot of tackles, but I just feel like they're just too injury prone. And you know what? I can't see Houston losing this game in Houston.
The only chance, I agree. The only chance I see Dallas doing is, they're actually okay. Their front four, if they, Randy Gregory doesn't get in trouble by then. And I think if they can make it 2nd and long, 3rd and long, they have a chance. If guys like Lamar Miller and Alfred Blue actually get them to 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, it's game over. That's the only chance I would give Dallas because they won't score enough points.
A big game, I believe, for Nook Hopkins.
Yeah, no, Deshaun Watson to
Hopkins,
DeAndre Hopkins, and Will Fuller, that could explode.
If he's better. Because you got that other kid, Kiki.
Right, Kiki Kuti.
Do you love me?
Yeah, no, he was, he had
a great game.
Couldn't agree more.
So that's my pick. I am 3.5 with Houston, and Rick is with -6.
Right, down to -6.
Carolina. Okay, so we got a game today. We got a game tonight. Colts Pats in New England. Pick 'em. Who you got?
I'll take New England. I think they're up to 9.5. I'd be willing to take that. The only thing I'm worried about is like a late junk field goal to ruin it. But the way they played against the Dolphins, who I actually think are better than the Colts, I don't know if they'll have that same sort of edge, but they get Edelman back. They seem to have established a run with Sony Michel. I don't really know how they're going to be stopped. Detroit, they had Patricia. Jacksonville, it was Jacksonville. So I think things line up for the Patriots tonight. I say 2 touchdowns. I'll go 28-14.
Okay.
Patriots.
Thank God I provide a little bit of hope. I'm gonna say I would take the Colts plus 10.5 right now. Oh, it moved to 9.5. The Nanas is telling me. Okay, so you see, people are on the plus. It's moving down.
Yeah,
I would take the plus.
Okay. 10.5 is just a lot.
Now people want to tell me, okay, Edelman's back. You got Josh Gordon. Gronkowski's a little hurt. Their defense is putrid, Indianapolis. I know all of this, but you know what? The quarterback on the other end gets paid too, Mr. Andrew Luck. And I believe you got to have a little luck, no pun intended. And I believe Chester Rogers. I believe
watch Eric Ebron tonight.
Ebron in the middle. I believe they should. They have a great offensive mind in Frank Wright that's there. And I believe he will use Ebron similar to how the Patriots would be using Gronkowski in the red zone. And if he gets doubled up, always a Nadeem Hines out of the backfield, or you have a Ryan Grant.
Yeah, no, Ryan Grant could be a nice little DFS play, or if you got a flyer. Eric Ebron has the most red zone targets in the league, might I add.
My play for tonight, not to cut you off, Zach Pascal.
Yeah,
out of Old Dominion last year.
They had a big win the other 2 weeks ago versus Virginia Tech. Probably the upset of the season.
The college world, right?
Yeah,
there.
and Virginia Tech did bounce back versus Duke, but no, Old Dominion product. Why not?
Yeah, I see him.
Things seem to be going well for the Monarchs.
I see him going big tonight. If you guys are in those DFS lineups. Okay, my friends, it's come that time. As always, please subscribe to JFP Sports on YouTube channel. Also follow us on IG. DM us your questions at JFP Sports, and we will follow suit to answer them on air. So, in the great words of Dr. Seuss, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. Thank you, folks. Till next time.